You are a remarkably complex being living on a tiny blue planet floating in the vast, silent universe, and you've got at most 100 years to live. That's it. So the real question is, what do you want to do with your time here? Do you want to drift through life comfortably settling for an average existence? Or do you want to live boldly, chase something meaningful, and create a life that truly matters? This book holds the power to transform your life, not with vague ideas or hollow promises, but with real practical insights. And if you allow it, the transformation will be for the better. Stay hungry. Steve Chandler first met Arnold Schwarzenegger back in 1976, long before the world knew his name. Their meeting took place in a quiet restaurant in Arizona. At the time, Arnold wasn't a superstar. In fact, very few people even recognized him. Steve was working as a journalist for a local newspaper, and his assignment was to spend a day with Arnold and write about his story. Arnold had just starred in his first film, Stay Hungry, which had unfortunately flopped at the box office. Yet, despite the film's failure, Arnold was full of energy, grateful just to have landed the role. As they sat across from each other, eating and talking, Steve asked him questions while observing the young man's presence. Arnold was already a champion bodybuilder, having won numerous titles. His physique was impressive, and his thick Austrian accent revealed his roots. To most people, he didn't look or sound like someone who could make it big in Hollywood. Curious, Steve asked, "Now that you've become Mr. Universe, what's your next goal?" Without hesitation, Arnold replied, "I'm going to become the biggest box office star in Hollywood." Steve was stunned. Arnold said it with such certainty as if he were describing something as simple as buying groceries. "How are you going to do that?" Steve asked. "The same way I became a champion bodybuilder," Arnold said. "I created a clear vision of what I wanted to become, and then I started living as if I was already that person." During his bodybuilding days, Arnold would mentally picture himself on stage posing with the Mr. World trophy in hand. He visualized it so vividly that it became real to him long before it actually happened. That clarity of vision and relentless focus drove him to work harder than anyone else. And eventually, he achieved exactly what he had imagined. Steve scribbled those words in his notebook. He never forgot that moment. Years later, Steve heard the news that Terminator 2 had become the #1 movie at the global box office. Arnold Schwarzenegger was no longer a dreamer. He was a global icon. The entire world now knew his name. In his seminars and speaking events, Steve often shared that powerful encounter. He remembered how Arnold had said, "Create a vision. Don't wait for inspiration to magically appear. If you have a dream, it's your job to shape it into a clear vision. Every morning, you should know exactly why you're getting out of bed. There should be a hunger driving you, a burning desire to do something meaningful with your life. So today, ask yourself, what do you want to become? What kind of life do you want to build? Once you know the answer, visualize it, feel it, and then begin living as if it's already true. That's how you stay hungry. Light your lazy dynamite." Henry Ford once told his employees, "No task is particularly hard if you divide it into small steps." That simple wisdom holds the key to unlocking the power hidden inside you, even on your laziest days. Often, we delay starting a task not because it's impossible, but because it feels overwhelming. Whether it's cleaning your kitchen, organizing your workspace, or finishing a long pending project, the thought of doing it all at once drains your energy before you even begin. But here's the truth. You don't need to do it all at once. You can start small. You can begin slowly. When you approach tasks with a gentle mindset, breaking them down into tiny, manageable pieces, they suddenly become less intimidating. You don't need a burst of energy or heroic push. You just need to begin quietly and steadily. Many people avoid starting something because they assume it'll require too much effort. But have you ever considered what would happen if you started slowly? Even a small step is progress. Even the tiniest motion builds momentum. And once you begin, something magical happens. Your brain adjusts. Your body follows. What felt like resistance starts turning into rhythm. The slow, easy actions settle into a natural flow, and without realizing it, you pick up speed. Progress doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it's just a quiet spark, a lazy dynamite lighting up from within. So remember, a slow start is still a start, and it's always better than standing still. Kill your television. Every time you spend hours watching TV, Netflix, or YouTube, you're sitting back and observing others live their dreams. You're watching chefs cook, travelers explore, and artists perform, all while you remain a spectator. But what if just for one day you turned off the screen and asked yourself, What could I do with that time instead? Don't spend your life watching other people live theirs. Build your own. Here's a challenge for you. Try to recall a specific scene, clip, or episode you watched a month ago. Can you remember it clearly? Chances are all you'll get is a vague image or two, blurry flashes with no real impact. Now think about an interesting idea you read in a book. That lesson probably stuck with you. It's still somewhere in your mind, ready to guide you when needed. That's the difference. Books shape your thoughts. Screens distract them. Instead of watching cooking shows, why not cook something yourself? Instead of following travel bloggers, plan a weekend adventure of your own. Instead of watching music performances, pick up an instrument and play, even if it's just a few notes. The joy of doing something far outweighs the passive thrill of watching someone else do it. You'll not only gain experience, but also confidence. And most importantly, you'll begin to feel more alive. Life is meant to be lived, not just observed. So, switch off the screen and switch on your own story. Promise the moon. One of the most powerful ways to stay driven is to make a bold promise, especially to someone you deeply care about, or to set a goal so big it scares you a little. When that promise comes from the heart, it pushes you to rise above your comfort zone. You treat it like a challenge and you give it everything you've got. Take a lesson from history. Years ago, U.S. President John F. Kennedy stood before a national audience and made a daring promise. America will send the first human to the moon. It wasn't just a speech. It was a vision. And that promise ignited a fire in NASA. Scientists, engineers, and astronauts worked relentlessly, pouring in their full effort to make that vision real. Against all odds, they succeeded. The Apollo missions were born and the world watched in awe as humanity stepped onto the moon. That's the power of a promise. There's also a story from Las Vegas. A casino owner wanted to quit smoking, but no method seemed to work. So, he paid to put up a huge billboard that read, "If anyone catches me smoking in the next 3 months, I'll pay you $100,000. Now that's commitment. The pressure of that public promise made him more determined than ever to follow through. Why do promises work so well? Because once you've made a promise to others, especially in the open, you feel responsible. You don't want to let them down. More importantly, you don't want to let yourself down. A promise puts you in motion. Steve Chandler, the author, experienced this firsthand. One summer, his children desperately wanted to attend a beautiful summer camp in Arizona. It was filled with exciting activities and adventures, and his kids were thrilled at the idea of going. At the time, Steve's work was going well, and he confidently promised to send them. But as summer approached, things changed. His commissions dropped. The family budget grew tighter. Eventually, Steve sat his kids down and told them he wouldn't be able to keep the promise. The disappointment on their faces hit him hard. But it was his youngest son, Bobby, who delivered the final blow. With tears in his eyes, the 8-year-old softly said, "But you promised." That moment pierced Steve's heart. He realized how much his words had meant. After a pause, he looked at his children and said, "You're right. A promise is a promise. I'm sorry for letting you down, but from today, I'll do everything I can to make it happen." From that day forward, Steve changed his career path. He became a motivational speaker, and soon his calendar filled with events. He made sure that every speaking engagement paid just enough to cover the cost of sending his children to that camp. In the end, he fulfilled his promise and the joy of doing so. It wasn't just about the camp. It was about honoring his word, about showing his children what commitment really looks like. So if you're looking for motivation, promise the moon. Make a vow so big, so meaningful that it pulls you into action. Let your word become your fuel and then live up to it. Make somebody's day. Steve Chandler once shared a powerful theory. If you bring good fortune into someone else's life, you invite luck into your own. It's simple yet transformative. For example, let's say you come across someone struggling financially. Instead of waiting or wondering what to do, you quietly send them some money. Without attaching your name or expecting anything in return, that's exactly what Steve did. He found someone in need, sent help anonymously, and soon after, unexpected opportunities began showing up in his own life. It felt like the universe had opened its arms in gratitude. But helping others doesn't always have to involve money. You can offer food, clothes, or anything that meets a genuine need. Even a kind gesture or encouraging word can brighten someone's day in ways you might never fully realize. When you act from a place of generosity, something changes inside you. You feel more connected, more inspired, more alive, and often the world seems to respond in kind as if luck itself starts walking beside you. So why not test Steve's theory for yourself? Whether you're an office employee, a student, or someone simply going through life, there are countless ways to bring light into someone else's day. Don't overthink it. Don't worry about whether people will notice or appreciate it. That's not the point. Just do good, quietly, consistently. And as you become the reason someone smiles, someone eats, someone feels seen, watch how your own life begins to change. Send luck out into the world and it has a way of coming right back to you. Replace worry with action. Are you worried about something right now? If the answer is yes, here's a simple but powerful truth. The moment worry strikes, take action. Instead of sitting in silence, overwhelmed by stress, do something. Anything. Take even the smallest step towards solving the problem you're stuck on. Worry, after all, has no finish line. It doesn't end on its own. The longer you sit with it, the heavier it grows. So stop feeding the thoughts that say, I feel so bad, this is too much, I can't take it anymore. And start asking, what can I do about this right now? Steve Chandler shared a story from his own life. One night, he had a serious argument with his wife. The next morning, he woke up replaying everything they had said. His chest was tight with regret, but no amount of worrying could undo what had already happened. Still, Steve made a decision. He wouldn't let the regret control his day. Instead of drowning in guilt, he started brainstorming solutions. What could he do to make things right? One idea: send her flowers. Another: call and sincerely apologize. A third: write a heartfelt note. A fourth: go see her in person and talk things through. Suddenly, he was thinking impossibilities, not problems. That's the shift. When you dwell on your worries, they start to expand. They begin to feel bigger than they are. Eventually, they paralyze you. But the moment you replace overthinking with movement, everything begins to change. Steve gives this practical advice. Make a list of what's worrying you. Write down every single concern. Then set a timer and give just 5 minutes to each item. 5 focused minutes of action, not rumination. No, 5 minutes won't fix everything, but it will do something better. It will break the cycle of helplessness. It will create momentum. And once you're in motion, you're no longer stuck in worry. You're moving toward resolution. So the next time worry knocks on your door, don't sit and invite it in. Get up, take action, and reclaim your power. Run with the thinkers. At one point, the president of an office equipment company found himself facing an unexpected challenge. Not with his business strategy, but with the mindset of his own managers. He had 2 distinct types of people working under him. On one side were highly intelligent, hardworking managers, people who regularly stayed late, dedicated extra hours, and genuinely cared about their jobs. But there was a problem. Every time they walked into his office, they came only to complain. They vented about the company systems, other departments, poor management, and everything in between. Their constant negativity drained the president's energy. Trying to comfort them or fix every grievance left him feeling exhausted and often depressed himself. On the other side were the deep thinkers, the solution-focused managers. These people saw the same problems. They weren't blind to what was wrong, but instead of complaining, they came with ideas. They proposed solutions, offered improvements, and asked, how can we make this better? That's the difference. The frustrated group was stuck in their problems. They believed their emotional reactions, anger, disappointment, bitterness, were completely justified. And maybe they were, but they stayed trapped in the loop of frustration. They chose to dwell. The thinkers, however, chose to rise. They acknowledged the same challenges, but then took a step further and asked, what can we do about it? They weren't just reacting, they were thinking forward. The president began to notice a pattern. He felt energized after meeting with the thinkers. Their conversations sparked creativity, brainstorming, and real progress. These meetings didn't drain him. They uplifted him. Together, they worked out actual strategies to solve company issues and implement better systems. That's the power of surrounding yourself with thinkers. Now ask yourself, which group do you belong to? Are you caught in cycles of frustration and blame? Or are you calmly observing, clearing your mind, and asking what can be done next? Your emotions are valid, but they shouldn't block your path. When you shift your focus from reacting to reasoning, everything changes. Your self-esteem grows, your relationships improve. You become a person others want to collaborate with. So choose wisely. Run with the thinkers and become one yourself. Exploit your weakness. Do you truly know your strengths and weaknesses? Here's a simple but powerful exercise. Take a sheet of paper and make 2 columns, one for your strengths and one for your weaknesses. Start with your strengths. List them out one by one. Think about what you're naturally good at. Your skills, your qualities, your past victories. Once you're done, put that list somewhere visible. On your desk, your kitchen wall, your mirror. On days when you feel low, look at it. Let it remind you of who you are and what you're capable of. Now it's time to face your weaknesses. But instead of judging or hiding them, study them. What if these flaws are not your enemies, but hidden parts of your unique identity? What if in the right light, they could become your greatest assets? There's a powerful story of Peg Leggett's, a famous tap dancer who often appeared on television. As a child, he lost one of his legs. A tragedy, especially for someone who dreamed of becoming a dancer. But even after losing his leg, he didn't let go of his dream. He attached a tap to his wooden leg and practiced relentlessly. His movements became unlike anyone else's. He turned what was once a limitation into a signature style that made him stand out. Judges noticed, audiences applauded, and Peggle Bates proved that weakness can be transformed into unmatched strength. Then there's Michael Bossoff, a master fundraiser and mentor. One of his secretaries was painfully shy. She hardly spoke during meetings. Most people would consider that a weakness, but Michael saw something different. He realized that her quiet nature made her a great listener. People felt heard and appreciated when she was around. Listening became her superpower, and with that shift in mindset, she grew into a confident and capable professional. Even author Steve Chandler once saw his age as a disadvantage. He became a father at 35 and often wondered if his kids would feel embarrassed having an older dad. He doubted whether he could keep up. But then one day, while watching The Little Mermaid with his children, he saw something in Ariel's father, an older man who was wise, strong, and protective. Steve realized that in his 20s, he hadn't been mature enough for fatherhood. But now he was exactly the kind of father his kids needed. Age wasn't a weakness. It was his strength. The truth is, there's no weakness. You cannot transform as long as you're willing to let go of shame and face it head on. Yes, it's hard. It takes effort, but the reward is worth it. When you stop hiding from your flaws and start embracing them, you'll discover that even your deepest insecurities can be turned into fuel for your growth. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be real and courageous enough to turn your weakness into your greatest strength. Put more enjoyment in. Have you ever thought that pleasure and enjoyment are the same thing? They're not. And understanding the difference between the two can completely change the way you experience life, making you more focused, more fulfilled, and far more motivated. Pleasure is surface level. It comes from external things like food, entertainment, or temporary comfort. It gives you a quick boost, but it fades just as quickly. Enjoyment, on the other hand, runs deeper. The famous psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi described enjoyment as entering a state of flow, a mental zone where you're so fully engaged in what you're doing that time disappears. You're immersed, focused, fulfilled, and it's not because the activity is easy. It's because it's meaningful. Enjoyment is what you feel when you're doing something you love and you're growing while doing it. Take, for example, people who win the lottery. Winning brings them pleasure, a surge of happiness, excitement, and even relief. But research shows that many of these winners end up feeling more lost, more isolated, and sometimes even financially unstable in the long run. Why? Because pleasure doesn't always create meaning or purpose. Now, compare that with someone who earns their wealth through hard work, through trial and error, through effort and persistence. That journey brings enjoyment because they've grown stronger, wiser, and more capable along the way. The money isn't just a reward. It's a reflection of their journey. Here's another example. Watching hours of television might give you pleasure in the moment, but afterward you feel empty. The shows blur together. There's no lasting value. Now imagine preparing a home-cooked meal for your family during the holidays. It takes time. You get tired. It's work. But when your loved ones gather around and enjoy what you've created, you feel fulfilled. You feel proud. That's enjoyment. Enjoyment comes from giving your best to something meaningful, from learning, from pushing yourself, from creating something of value. So if you want to add more joy to your life, don't chase momentary highs. Improve your skills. Dive into activities that stretch you. Gardening, painting, cooking, running, writing, anything that demands effort and brings growth. Pleasure fades, but enjoyment builds you. Laugh for no reason. You don't need the perfect mood to laugh, dance, sing, or smile. In fact, it works the other way around. Once you start doing these things, your mood automatically lifts. If you're feeling low, anxious, or overwhelmed by a problem, one of the simplest ways to shift your emotional state is to encourage yourself to smile, or better yet, laugh. Yes, even if it feels a little silly. That small smile. That light chuckle can begin to shift your entire day. Here's a fun tip. What's your favorite song? Keep it ready on your phone, your playlist, wherever you need it. The next time you're feeling down, hit play. Turn up the volume and sing along like nobody's watching. You might feel awkward at first, but who cares? Just sing your heart out. And before you know it, your frown will be gone and your energy will rise. Did you know that Zen monks, a branch of Buddhist monks, sometimes practice laughter as a form of meditation? They sit in a circle, and when the gong sounds, they simply begin to laugh. There's no joke, no reason, just laughter for its own sake. And it's powerful. You've probably experienced something similar. Your friends are laughing at something you don't even understand, but their laughter is so contagious that you start laughing too. Children do it all the time. One giggle triggers another, and soon the room is full of joy. That's because laughter is contagious. It spreads from one person to another, often without words. It's a natural human connection. And let's be honest, who doesn't enjoy a good laugh? At first, your laughter may feel a bit forced. That's okay. Let it come anyway, because slowly it becomes real. It becomes genuine, and it heals something inside you. So don't wait for a reason. Laugh freely. Laugh often. And laugh for no reason at all. Conclusion. Let's quickly recap the 10 powerful ways to stay motivated. 1. Stay hungry. Keep your vision clear. Know who you want to become and live each day as if you're already on that path. 2. Light your lazy dynamite. Start small, even if slowly. Just begin. Momentum builds over time. 3. Kill your television. Stop watching others live their lives. Instead, go live yours. Experience life firsthand. 4. Promise the moon. Make bold promises. Commit fully and push yourself to follow through no matter what. 5. Make somebody's day. Bring a little luck or joy into someone else's life, and you'll find luck returning to yours. 6. Replace worry with action. Don't sit with stress. Take small, purposeful steps to move forward. 7. Run with the thinkers. Surround yourself with solution-focused people. Clear your mind. Rise above emotions and create progress. 8. Exploit your weakness. Don't hide from your flaws. Embrace them. Your weakness might be your greatest strength in disguise. 9. Put more enjoyment in. Face challenges that grow you. Dive into meaningful activities and level up your skills. 10. Laugh for no reason. Don't wait for a reason to smile, sing, or dance. Do it, and your mood will follow. We hope these insights helped lift your spirit and inspired you to take that next step forward. Remember, you don't need to wait for the perfect moment. You already have what you need to start. What happened yesterday doesn't matter. What matters is today. And what you choose to do today will shape the future you're heading toward. So go on, take action, stay hungry, and become the person you were meant to be. Thank you for listening to this audiobook summary of 100 Ways to Motivate Yourself by Steve Chandler. If even one of these ideas sparked something inside you, don't let it fade. Take action today. Whether it's a small step or a bold leap, remember your future is shaped by what you choose to do right now. If you found value in this summary, please consider subscribing to Neuro Whispers, sharing this video with someone who might need a boost, and dropping a comment below. Let us know which idea hit you the hardest or felt most meaningful. Until next time, stay inspired, stay strong, and keep moving forward, one motivated step at a time.